Hello, and in another video I discussed how the oligarchs came about in Russia, and in this video I'm going to tell you a little bit about corruption in Russia. And this is now directly from my experience, corruption in the early 90s. Now, when you've got a communist type system, a person gets their job in the higher echelons of companies because of their loyalty to the party. And it's not just in communist systems. I mean, it happens in anywhere where the state has too much power, or you've got parties which seek to act in a fascist or communist type of way. So it's giving a person a job in a big company is a way of thanking them for their support, and they will obviously enjoy the benefits of a huge paycheck and without the necessity of having to do the job, because it's owned by the state, so it doesn't make any difference if it makes any money or not. And if it makes no money, well, that person's got their job for 4 or 5 years. It'll end up losing a stack, but that person's earned enough money to set them up completely for life. And then what I'm going to do now is going to tell you about setting yourself up for life. In 1992-93, I was in Poland, and I got word of the following things which would take place. There were auctions held in Hotel Gdynia, in Gdynia in Poland, and these auctions worked along these lines. So some Russian factory manager would offer something for sale. And so this could be something like tinned fish, which is one that I actually spoke to somebody who ended up with a container full of fish. Could be something, or some foods like caviar, or it could even be things which were in short supply, such as foodstuffs, such as pork, for example, or more likely it'd be something minerals. Above all, number one was coal, but it could be other minerals which could easily be sold. Now, what happened was this: there'd be an auction, and people could buy what they had the cash for. So let's say, for example, that somebody comes along, $10 million worth of coal comes on the market, and the bidding would start at 100,000, and so 1% of the value. And the attempts were made to keep it so that the numbers would be relatively similar. So let's supposing the bidding went up to 120,000 or something like that. That coal would then be sold at 120,000, it's worth 10 million. And the important bit is this: that you needed $30,000 in cash to give to the person who was doing the sale. The sale was the manager of the state-owned concern in Russia, who would then, obviously there was some control. It wasn't that they could just help themselves to anything, because this is in theory a criminal act, but it would result in them losing their job. But it goes into a balance sheet. There's 120,000 received for this coal. Then somebody may come along, look it up and say, hang on, the world price of this coal is 10 million, and then and this was sold for 120. Then the manager said, yeah, you're absolutely right, that's my fault, I need to resign. And that would, as we understood, was the end of the matter. So, and it was thought that, okay, somebody gets $30,000, that's enough to sort of set them up for the future. Now, if somebody had stacks of coal, or stacks of nickel, or stacks of steel, or whatever it was, steel rods, there was another one, then they could do this several times over until they actually got caught. And as long as the numbers were always the same, so maybe they would say, look, the auction isn't 100,000, it's now you pay 120,000 for this. And so the numbers would always be the same, and then when eventually there's the control, they get caught, and that's it. Indeed, it would seem that there were people who got so much money they thought, well, rather than run the risk of ending up in prison or something like this, or having to refund the money, then they would just disappear. So there were cases that I heard of, and I can't confirm this actually having taken place, but I heard of cases where the money was actually paid into an account somewhere offshore, some of these Cayman Islands jobs. So that was one way. This is theft from the Russian people. Or it's nationalized. I believe in privatization, but I don't believe in privatization through theft. That's completely wrong. So if something's privatized, it needs to go to companies who know what they're doing, who will pay taxes, who will meet with corporate governance. Of course, I mean, people can be paid normal wages, but in this case, if it's normal wage for somebody who knows what they're doing, I personally wouldn't have a problem with that. And anyway, so that was a little experience of mine from Russia in the early 90s. I'm sure that this was happening in Poland, so I'm sure that these things were largely from the Kaliningrad Oblast, which was very close to where these meetings were actually held, and also judging by some of the things which actually came through, then it was products from this area. At the same time, it needs to be pointed out, one thing I recall from the first time I was in Russia, which was in October 1992, was you saw the wealth and you saw the poverty. And it was as though there was nobody in between. The shops, which I have never seen such extreme wealth in one place and so brazenly open. And at the same time is the mass of people and the amount, which is very, obviously it was very, very sad to see such things. And this is one of the reasons why Putin indeed is popular in Russia. It's because of the poverty and the disorder of the 1990s was replaced by the strong arm, but the reasons for this it's largely due to the strength of the cost of the products which Russia exports. Had the oil price been higher in the 1990s, then perhaps these things wouldn't have happened, or at least the poverty and so much wouldn't have happened. But then again, it might have done. As I stated, there was crime, and this criminality I've just described was on a low level when you've got the oligarchs who sort of stripped the country of its assets, and that was something from around 95 onwards. That, I think, was far more serious for the economy. Anyway, good, so that's a little bit of a story there, and if you're interested, I upload things related to history every Friday, and most stuff I do is about Hitler and the Third Reich and the Holocaust, but at the moment I'm going through a sort of a Russian phase to sort of try and help people understand what is going on in the world right now, and what can be what can be done about it, maybe not, but what's going on, what are the reasons why we ended up in this state. Thanks for watching.